Ian Curtis, the tragic genius behind Joy Division. A young singer with a haunting voice, a band that would change music forever, and a life that ended far too soon. At just 23 years old, Ian Curtis left behind one of the most influential legacies in music history. But behind the fame, the music, and the iconic performances of Joy Division, there was a story filled with struggle, illness, and heartbreak. This is the tragic story of Ian Curtis, the voice of Joy Division. Early life. Ian Kevin Curtis was born on July 15, 1956 in Stretford, England, and grew up in the quiet town of Macclesfield. From a young age, Curtis was different from many of his classmates. While others were focused on sports or everyday teenage life, Curtis spent much of his time reading poetry and literature. He was fascinated by writers who explored the darker side of human emotion. This interest would later shape the lyrics that made him famous. Curtis also had a deep love of music. He admired artists like David Bowie, Iggy Pop, and Jim Morrison. These performers inspired him not only musically, but also in how they expressed emotion and intensity on stage. At just 19 years old, Curtis married Deborah Woodruff. Soon after, he began searching for something more meaningful in life, something creative. The birth of Joy Division. Everything changed in 1976 when Curtis attended a concert by the legendary punk band Sex Pistols. The energy of the punk movement was explosive. It inspired thousands of young people across the UK to start their own bands. Curtis joined forces with Bernard Sumner, Peter Hook, and Stephen Morris. Together, they formed a band that would later become Joy Division. At first, they were just another small band playing local shows, but something about their sound was different. Their music was darker, more atmospheric, and emotionally intense. Curtis's lyrics explored themes rarely discussed in rock music at the time: isolation, anxiety, alienation, and emotional pain. In 1970, the band released what would become one of their debut albums, Unknown Pleasure. The record quickly gained attention for its unique sound and haunting mood. Songs like Disorder and She's Lost Control captured a sense of confusion and emotional intensity that resonated with listeners. Curtis on stage. One of the most unforgettable aspects of Ian Curtis was his stage presence. During performances, Curtis would move in strange, frantic ways, almost like he was possessed by the music. His dancing was intense, chaotic, and hypnotic. Fans were mesmerized. But what many people didn't realize at the time was that these movements were partly connected to a serious medical condition. In 1978, Curtis was diagnosed with epilepsy. The condition caused seizures, sometimes even during performances. The flashing lights at concerts often made the problem worse. Despite this, Curtis continued to perform, pushing himself beyond his physical limits. Personal struggles. As Joy Division's popularity grew, Curtis's personal life became increasingly complicated. Touring, health problems, and emotional pressure began to take a toll on him. His marriage faced difficulties, and he struggled with feelings of depression and exhaustion. Yet during this time, Curtis wrote some of his most powerful lyrics. In 1980, Joy Division recorded what would become one of their most famous songs, Love Will Tear Us Apart. Ironically, the song about love falling apart would become their most recognizable track. The tragedy. In 1980, Joy Division was preparing for a major moment in their career, their first tour in the United States. But Curtis was overwhelmed. His health problems were worsening, and the pressure of fame was becoming unbearable. On May 18, 1980, just days before the band was scheduled to leave for America, Ian Curtis died at the age of 23. The music world was shocked.
a young artist with incredible talent and potential, was gone far too soon. Legacy. After Curtis's death, the remaining members of Joy Division decided to continue making music under a new name, New Order. Meanwhile, Curtis's music continued to influence generations of artists. His lyrics, filled with raw honesty and emotional depth, helped define the post-punk movement. Today, albums like Unknown Pleasure are considered masterpieces of alternative music, and songs like Love Will Tear Us Apart remain timeless. Ian Curtis may have lived only 23 years, but the impact of his music continues to echo across decades. His voice, haunting, powerful, and deeply human, still speaks to listeners today. Ian Curtis wasn't just a singer. He was the voice of a generation that felt lost, searching, and deeply alive.